At Cultivate Balance, we really believe that the better we feel as individuals, the more energy and clarity and vitality that we have to spread that wellness out and to better serve and better connect with our families, our communities, and the planet. We really believe that individual wellness is the first step in collective wellness. And we really believe in collective wellness in terms of liberation and justice, in addition to just the like tangible health benefits. We think of wellness in terms of, whole systems. The wellness of our communities and of our culture is all wrapped up in our philosophy at Cultivate Balance. So what is Ayurveda and how does it work? Ayurveda is an ancient system of holistic healing from India. Dates back about 5,000 or 6,000 years, which is a really long time. And throughout those 5,000, 6,000 years leading up until this point, there have been tens and thousands of case studies proving its efficacy. So it's been around a long time and it's been working for a lot of people for a long time. Now, I will just mention that under the British colonial rule, Ayurveda actually had to go underground in India and be practiced in secret. And a lot of the materials, like the books and the writing on Ayurveda, were lost. And fortunately, some brave souls and brave families were able to really keep Ayurveda alive in their lineages so that it could resurface when India regained independence, and ultimately come here so that we could share it with you. So I just want to give thanks and so much gratitude to those who kept Ayurveda alive and made it possible for me to be sharing it with you now. Ayurveda is such a beautiful framework that helps us all reconnect to the rhythms of nature. And it's really special that we can be using this framework today because of those who made it possible. So Ayurveda is really about reconnecting with the rhythms of nature. So thinking about the cycles of the day, the cycles of a season, the cycles of a year are all components of realigning with ourselves and realigning with the world around us. That's a big part of Ayurveda. Ayurveda is also about finding balance. It's about understanding sort of what qualities are out of balance and learning how to apply opposite qualities to bring ourselves back into balance. So in that way, it's pretty simple and it's pretty accessible. Once you learn sort of the basic foundation of Ayurveda, you can start to think for yourself, okay, which qualities are coming up here? Which elements are out of balance within me? And what qualities, what elements might be most balancing? Something that I love about Ayurveda is that it's very intuitive, and that it's as humans who know about the elements already, earth, water, fire, air, and space, it's easy for us to remember and to talk and think in terms of Ayurveda because it's very natural. So within the system of Ayurveda, we really talk about the elements. And the way that we talk about the elements is that we group them into 3 different categories. Okay, so we have a category called vata, one called pitta, and one called kapha. Vata is a combination of the air and space elements. Pitta is the fire element and a little bit of water, but think of it mostly as fire. And kapha is a combination of the earth and water elements. Okay, vata, pitta, and kapha. It goes from light to dense. And these doshas, we call them, that's what these groups are called. These combinations of elements, we would say in Ayurveda, manifest within and around all of us. So we use the language of the doshas or of the elements to describe our experience and to understand how to bring ourselves back into balance. And within that, we can think of the qualities associated with an element or a dosha. So for example, pitta is the fiery dosha. Fire is hot. People with a lot of pitta in their chart are going to need to do more cooling things, cooling choices, cooling activities, cooling foods, okay? So there's a lot of ways that the elements show up within and around us, and that knowledge of the elements, of the doshas, can help us understand little adjustments that we need to make throughout the day to feel a little more centered within ourselves. So let me tell you a little bit about each of the doshas in depth. Okay, so vata dosha is made up of air and space. And maybe you've heard of the doshas before, and if you have, this is a little recap. And if you haven't, welcome. This is a vast and fascinating thing to learn about. Okay, so vata dosha, combination of air and space. And as I said, the doshas exist or manifest within and around us. And whether or not you want to think about like literally air and space or just the qualities of air and space, understanding the qualities of air and space can help us understand the qualities of vata dosha. So someone with a lot of vata dosha in their constitution has the qualities of air and space, which means they're visionary, they're adaptable, they're quick, they're mobile, they have a lot of ideas, they get really excited. So think about that energy of movement like air and space and how that relates to being imaginative and visionary. They're often artists, they're innovators, they have excellent ideas, and they're, quick and adaptable and flexible, which are great qualities. On the flip side, people with a lot of vata tend to struggle with anxiety and indecision, which you can also see how those qualities relate to air and space. They're sort of light and quick and rough. So that's a little about vatas. People with a lot of vata. People with a lot of pitta in their constitution are fiery. So they're great implementers. They're often leaders. They really like to get things done. They're quick, they're sharp, they're direct. They're great problem solvers. They're very organized also. On the flip side, pittas can struggle with feeling angry and irritable, right? Which you can see how those are qualities of fire. Kaphas, which is my constitution, are made up of earth and water. So they're really loyal, stable, forgiving people, very compassionate, very enduring. And on the flip side, they're also very stubborn, which I can definitely relate to throughout my whole life. And they're more prone to depression, which you can see is like a heavier emotion, just like earth and water are heavier elements. Okay, so understanding which dosha is strongest in our constitution helps us understand what imbalances we're most likely to experience. So if you have kapha in your constitution, you're more likely to experience heavy, slow types of imbalances. Like I said, depression is more common for kaphas, but also nausea, also brain fog. And these are things we will get into more in depth throughout the course, especially if you're enrolled in the full course, the full program. Part 2, which is about communication, connection, and appreciation, we'll do a deep dive on the doshas, the individual doshas, how they relate to each other, how they like to be related to, and all these things will come back up then. And it is so fascinating. Okay, so more of that to come. And if you'd like to know just how your doshas manifest within you, I will put in a dosha quiz that you can take, and you can see the ratio and just like get an understanding about what's going on for you and for your doshas. Okay, and let's see. We talked about vata, pitta, and kapha, and how understanding which dosha is the strongest helps us understand what types of qualities might bring us back into balance, right? Because Ayurveda is all about balance. So these are themes that will come up throughout the entire program. You'll hear me talking in terms of vata, pitta, and kapha. So I just wanted to give you a little foundation right now so that you can start thinking of that if you're not familiar. And if you are familiar, a great refresher. And if you're interested in if you take this course and you think, wow, I really want to learn more about the foundations of Ayurveda, we do have a course for that. It's called The Art of Ayurveda, and it's something to consider after you complete this program. It goes in depth about, lifestyle for resilience, digestion, foundations, the whole comprehensive picture of Ayurveda. If that piques your interest as you move through this course, know that there's something to check out when you're done.